Welcome to our deep dive. Um, Today we'll be exploring Paulo Coelho's The Alchemist.
Ah, The
It's
Alchemist.
the story of a young shepherd named Santiago, and he travels all the way from Spain to the Egyptian desert
Oh, wow.
searching for treasure.
Okay.
But as with any good story like this, I think there's a lot more to uncover here. Like
Right.
we're going to kind of explore the deeper layers and the lessons about,
Yeah.
listening to your own heart and recognizing the signs, the universe might be giving you. And of course, the idea of this personal legend, right?
Yeah, it's so intriguing how Coelho just kind of weaves that idea, that personal legend, throughout the narrative.
Right.
Like right from the beginning when Santiago has that recurring dream about finding treasure near the pyramids,
Right.
it's almost like destiny calling him, like whispering to him about his true purpose.
It is. And it's interesting because initially he tries to dismiss it,
Exactly,
he
yeah.
tries to ignore it, but it keeps coming back, almost like it's knocking on the door of his soul. And I think all of us have felt that pull at some point.
Yeah.
Like there's something more we're
Yeah.
meant to be doing.
Absolutely. And Coelho gives it a name. It's that personal legend.
Right.
And he suggests that each person has a unique reason, for being
What?
a path they're meant to follow, like a blueprint almost.
Oh, I like that. A blueprint for a fulfilling life. Makes you wonder, though, what if we all had a map? Not like a literal map, but
Yeah.
like an inner compass that guides us toward our purpose. But then, how do you even know what your personal legend is?
Well, I mean, Coelho gives some clues. Like for Santiago, it starts with that dream,
Right.
that symbolic message, sparks his curiosity.
Yeah.
But it's his encounter with the old woman, the dream interpreter,
Right.
that really sets him on his path.
Oh, interesting.
And she doesn't just tell him what it means, she challenges him to actually take action.
It's interesting you mentioned her because right after that, he meets Melchizedek,
Yes.
the king of Salem.
Yes.
I mean, come on, that's a pretty unexpected encounter.
Melchizedek is such a pivotal character. He's not just a king, he embodies this ancient wisdom, like this mystical energy that guides Santiago.
Mhm.
And he doesn't give Santiago a map or instructions, he just plants a seed. This idea that the universe will conspire to help those who pursue their personal legend.
There's that word again, conspire. I mean, it's powerful to think that the universe is conspiring to help us achieve our dreams. But it's also kind of daunting. Because if the universe is conspiring, doesn't that mean that our lives are kind of predetermined? What happens to free will?
And that's exactly where Melchizedek brings in that concept of the world's greatest lie.
Okay.
He says that lie is that at some point, we lose control of our lives. We become victims of fate. That our
Yeah.
choices don't matter.
Right, like we're pawns in some cosmic game.
Exactly. But Melchizedek challenges this. He suggests that we have the power to choose our own path,
Okay.
to pursue our personal legends, and the universe will align itself to support us.
So it's not destiny versus free will. It's about recognizing that we actually have a choice, that we can choose to listen to those whispers and actually take action.
Exactly.
But it can't be as simple as just deciding to follow your dream
Yeah.
and everything falls into place. I mean, Santiago faces like tons of obstacles along the way.
Oh, absolutely. And Coelho doesn't sugarcoat those challenges.
Yeah.
He highlights them. Santiago is robbed, loses all of his money,
Wow.
has to adapt to all these new cultures, new languages. He even works in a crystal shop.
A crystal shop. That's a detour I did not see coming. I feel like that's almost a metaphor for life, though.
Yeah.
Those unexpected turns.
Absolutely.
And you start questioning, like, am I even on the right path?
Exactly. And it's a crucial part of his journey.
Okay.
It's there in that shop that he learns patience, resourcefulness.
Uh-huh.
He starts to understand that there's a language beyond words,
Okay.
a language that speaks through those signs, those synchronicities.
You're talking about like omens.
Yeah.
Right? Those little hints, those coincidences that sometimes feel like more than just random things happening.
Mhm.
But how do you even learn to understand a language that's beyond words?
Coelho suggests that it's about paying attention,
Okay.
being present.
Yeah.
Santiago learns to listen to his intuition
Uh-huh.
and to recognize the patterns and connections that he might otherwise miss.
Okay.
And he begins to see the omens not as mystical pronouncements,
Right.
but as guidance, like subtle nudges.
So he's fine-tuning his inner compass, learning to trust those subtle signals that I think are always there,
Right,
but we just get kind of drowned out in the noise of everyday life.
exactly.
Do you have any examples from the book of these omens that really stand out?
Well, there's that moment when Santiago gets robbed shortly after arriving in Tangier.
Well, right.
He's just completely lost and defeated, questioning if he should even continue.
Right.
But then he remembers the old king, what he said about the omens, and he
Okay.
starts to pay attention.
Yeah.
And he notices a scarab beetle flying near him, and it's a symbol of transformation.
Interesting.
And it's that little observation that gives him this glimmer of hope
Okay.
that he's still on the right path.
So even in those moments of despair,
Yeah.
there are signs
Yeah.
if we're just willing to look for them.
Exactly.
It's about shifting our perspective.
Yeah.
Being open to seeing those messages
Yeah.
that are hidden in plain sight.
Absolutely.
And it's that awareness that leads him to the oasis, right, where he meets Fatima.
Precisely. And this meeting with Fatima is another huge turning point.
Okay.
You know, it introduces love.
Yeah.
And this force that challenges and deepens his understanding of his personal legend.
Yeah, it's interesting how Coelho portrays love in the story, you know?
Right.
Fatima is not just a romantic interest.
Mm-hmm.
She kind of represents this deeper connection to the desert,
Right.
to that soul of the world that Santiago is trying to understand.
You know what? That's something that really struck me about Fatima. She just has this deep wisdom and understanding of the natural world and those rhythms of life. Right.
It's almost as if she embodies the feminine energy of the desert itself.
Exactly. And she teaches Santiago about patience and acceptance.
Right.
You know, about that cyclical nature of life. There's this beautiful passage where she tells him, you know, that the desert waits for the return of those who journey away.
Right.
Just as she will wait for him.
It's such a powerful image, this idea of love as something constant, something that endures even when you're physically separated.
Yeah.
But it must have been so hard for Santiago knowing that following his personal legend meant leaving her behind.
It's a dilemma a lot of us can relate to.
Yeah.
That feeling of being pulled in different directions, you know, having to choose between love and ambition or comfort and adventure.
Yeah.
And it's in this moment of uncertainty that the alchemist appears.
Finally, the alchemist. I mean, up until this point, he's been guided by intuition, omens, chance encounters.
Right.
But with the alchemist, it feels different. Like there's a sense of purpose, a direct mentorship. Like he's taking him deeper into the mysteries of alchemy and the soul of the world.
Yeah, the alchemist is a fascinating character.
Right.
I mean, he's a master of transformation, literally, you know, turning lead into gold.
Right.
But also, figuratively, in his guidance of Santiago's spiritual growth, he's not just teaching him about alchemy, he's teaching him about life.
I'm curious about this soul of the world. You mentioned earlier that Fatima represents this feminine energy of the desert. Is that connected? Is it like this all-encompassing energy that connects everything?
Yeah, that's a beautiful way to put it. The soul of the world, like Coelho describes it, is this universal force. It flows through all things, the wind, the desert, the stars, us. It's the source of life, that energy that connects us all. And the alchemist, he teaches Santiago how to tap into this force, how to listen to its whispers and understand its language.
So it's not just about Santiago finding physical treasure. It's about discovering a deeper connection to the universe, to something much greater than himself. How does the alchemist guide him towards that?
He doesn't give Santiago a map or instructions or anything like that.
Okay.
He leads him through experiences, pushing him to face his fears and learn through action. Remember when they're crossing the desert and Santiago is terrified of being attacked?
Oh, yeah.
The alchemist tells him that fear is often a much bigger obstacle than the actual obstacle itself.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
We often create our own limitations through fear, doubt, overthinking. So by facing his fear, by just moving forward, he's taking a step closer to understanding this soul of the world.
Exactly. And the alchemist, he teaches him that this soul of the world, it speaks through those omens, intuition, those synchronicities. It's about learning to trust those cues, to recognize the patterns.
Okay, but we can't forget about the treasure.
No.
That's what set Santiago on this whole journey in the first place.
Yeah.
Does he find it? And what's its significance, given all of these deeper lessons he's learning?
Well, the journey to that treasure, it's not straightforward. In fact, there's a pretty unexpected detour. Santiago is captured by tribal warriors.
Whoa, what a twist. What happens next?
And this capture actually becomes a crucial test, not just for Santiago's survival,
Right.
but also for his faith in his personal legend. It forces him to use Everything he's learned, the language of omens, the alchemist's wisdom, his own inner strength.
This is intense. How does he escape? Does the alchemist come to his rescue?
Remember those two stones, Urim and Thummim, that Melchizedek gave him?
Oh, yeah, the ones for reading omens.
Yeah, they come in at this crucial moment,
Okay.
reminding him to trust his intuition and all the signs he's been seeing.
It's amazing how Coelho ties in those seemingly small details.
Right.
Those stones become a symbol of his growth,
Exactly.
his ability to decipher that language of the universe.
Right.
But how do those stones actually help him escape?
They're like this reminder of his own inner wisdom, his connection to that soul of the world.
Uh-huh.
He uses them to interpret this dream,
Right.
a vision that guides him to a solution.
Oh, interesting.
He's able to negotiate his release from the tribe.
So he's tapping into a power beyond himself, a wisdom he's had all along. And this experience, this near-death encounter,
Yeah.
it must have been transformative. Does it change his perspective on the treasure?
It does. It really drives home this point that the real treasure is not this material possession.
Right.
It's the journey. It's the wisdom you gain, the transformation.
So the treasure becomes symbolic, representing something much bigger than
Right.
gold or jewels.
And as Santiago continues his journey with the alchemist,
Uh-huh.
he starts to understand that the real treasure might not be what he originally thought it was. The alchemist takes him to this specific spot in the desert
Okay.
and tells him to dig for the treasure.
So this is it, the climax of the story.
Mm.
Santiago's faced so many challenges,
Right.
learned these profound lessons, and now he's finally at the location of the treasure.
Yeah.
What happens next?
He digs and digs all night long, but he finds nothing.
He finds nothing after all that. Oh, man. I can only imagine how defeated he must have felt. It's like the ultimate test of faith, right?
Yeah.
To just keep believing even when there's no proof.
You're absolutely right. This is Santiago's darkest moment. I mean, he's exhausted. He wants to give up. But then he remembers what the alchemist said, that the soul of the world, it tests those who are searching for their personal legend.
Oh, that's right. And those tests can be rough. You know, those setbacks, the disappointments, when you start to question everything.
Yeah.
So what does he do? Does he just give up?
He does something incredible. He starts laughing. Yeah. He just laughs at the absurdity of it all, of his own, folly.
Wow.
And in that laughter, there's this release,
Uh-huh.
a letting go. And that's when he remembers something else the alchemist told him.
Okay.
The treasure is often found in the most unexpected places.
She doesn't give up. He changes his perspective, opens himself up to new possibilities.
Yeah.
And does that lead him to the treasure?
It does, but not how he expected. So he's laughing, right? And he realizes something. He remembers this dream about finding treasure near an abandoned church back in Spain, a dream he had totally forgotten about.
The abandoned church. You mean back where he started. So the treasure wasn't in some far-off land. It was right there in his own backyard.
Precisely. The real treasure, it wasn't the gold in Egypt. It was the journey, the wisdom, the changes he went through. The treasure was realizing his personal legend. And it was right there with him all along.
Wow, that's so powerful. It makes you think, how often are we looking for something outside of ourselves when what we need is already within us? But what about Fatima? Does Santiago go back to her? Does he find love and fulfillment after all this?
The book ends with Santiago returning to the oasis, his heart full of love for Fatima. Knowing that he followed his true path, he's not just a shepherd anymore. He's a man who faced his fears, embraced the unknown, and found the meaning of his personal legend.
It's such a beautiful ending, so hopeful. Like it suggests that real fulfillment doesn't come from those outward rewards, but from aligning with our purpose, with that inner compass.
Yeah, and it reminds us that the journey is the real reward. The challenges, those setbacks, the detours, they're all a part of becoming who we're meant to be.
It's been an incredible deep dive into The Alchemist. I mean, we explored the symbolism, the insights into being human, that timeless message about following your dreams.
Yeah.
What are your final thoughts on the book?
What makes The Alchemist so powerful is that it speaks to that desire in all of us for purpose, for a life that feels true.
Right.
It reminds us that we all have a personal legend, and the universe wants to help us achieve it.
So what does this all mean for our listeners? Those who are on their own journeys, searching for their own treasures.
It's a call to action. It's saying, go explore those little whispers of destiny, pay attention to the signs, face those challenges, and never give up on your own personal legend. Because, just like Santiago found out, the real treasure isn't the destination, it's the journey.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into The Alchemist. We hope it inspires you to listen to your heart,
to see those signs along the way and to start your own journey of self-discovery. Until next time, keep seeking, keep dreaming, and keep following your personal legend.